because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncers guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Ben Davison joins me. Ben, thank you very much for letting me into your lovely gym. My first time here, actually. Bit of a ball ache to find, but it's a lovely gym.
Yeah, hidden away, but appreciate it, thank you.
Is that how it has to be with some of the boys in the gym? Hidden away, kind of away from the distractions in the life?
Nah, he's hard to find, but I have had random people walk in off the street that have found it somehow, and I don't know how, but yeah.
Train world champions and they're asking for a little PT session. Obviously, Will was signed with GBM Sports. Really promising, really talented fighter. I said this to him as well. When you kind of look at from when he started his pro career to now, there must be that little bit of frustration considering he should have had more fights and should have had more opportunity to show himself. Is that what's good about this deal? We're going to get him out. We're going to get to see how good he really is. Yeah,
for sure. GBM's aspirations match Will's. Will wants to move quickly, especially in the weight class that he's in. And the pedigree that he's got. He wants to move quickly and GBM want to move quickly, so it makes sense. And I think there's a big future for Will there, and I think that, like I say, I do think that he's more than capable of being moved quickly, so looking forward to it.
When you look at the divisions in terms of Bantam and Superfly, I know obviously only 2-0 at the moment, but do you look and think that sooner rather than later, the guys we consider in and around domestic fringe European he could deal with?
Yeah, if capable, like it's not a matter of skill, it's just a matter of experience and activity. If we can get Will a couple of fights by the end of the year, I'd be happy to put him in for a British title fight, and more than capable of winning.
I asked him about his next opponents, which he said he's lost 8 times, 6 to good fighters, and 2 to Prince Patel. That's something that he said he would be interested in, and obviously I know kind of a bit of a Marmite figure, Prince Patel, but anything he's involved in will be of a decent size, especially for someone who's 2-0. So is that something that you would consider?
What's that, sorry?
The Prince Patel fight?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and I know Prince, and obviously I train well, so I'm not going to make any comments on that, but as I said, I'm extremely confident with Will in those weight classes, a little bit of experience with anybody in those divisions.
Yeah. I'm obviously just over a week out from Leigh's rematch with Mauricio Lara. What's this kind of week like in the gym when you're basically on the fringe of a fight night and I suppose the hard prep's done, but what's this week been like for Leigh?
Yeah, there can sometimes be a little bit of anxiety in a sense that you want to get the last part of the intense part of training done without any hiccups, injuries or anything like that. So we've finished sparring now, everything's been good. We're happy with how things have gone. Quick turnaround, we know, but we think that could and should work in our favour. And it's just now about staying switched on. Leigh Wiley mentioned something yesterday that I thought was, or this morning it was, that I thought was a good way of putting things about staying switched on, keep going over things and making sure you don't go into the fight cold mentally. Making sure that the things that we've worked on are fresh in the memory, and he's mentally warm by the time he gets in the ring, and I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, I know Leigh will have that kind of fueled by revenge sort of feeling, but in terms of you guys here trying to break the fight down and implement the game plan as well, can you think about that kind of having that revenge mentality, or do you just kind of take it as even like a fresh slate, a different fight? Forget number 1, we're on number 2 now. Can you have that revenge mentality or not?
I think it's important that you don't get emotional about the first fight, but looking at the fight, we don't feel that there's a million things that need changing. Obviously, there's going to be some slight adjustments from Mauricio Lara. There's going to be some slight adjustments from us. But we don't think that the fight needs too much of an adjustment. A couple of subtle changes. And we're confident in if Leigh's able to do that, a comfortable win for Leigh. Again, not much has changed from the first fight. I still believe that Leigh can knock Mauricio Lara out.
Yeah. Have you spoke about at all potentially going beyond this? Because I suppose defeat for Leigh, back-to-back defeats to Mauricio, will leave him in a tricky situation. Obviously, boxing moves quite fast. Have you kind of allowed yourself to speak about that, think about that, maybe even use that as motivation to say that it would be, in terms of a career sense, a damaging defeat at this time for Leigh?
Obviously, when we was negotiating with Matchroom, there was talks of that, and I think that the path after this fight is very, very clear. There's a tripod in the UK in the featherweight division between Josh Warrington, Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara. So I think that the next fight for the win is very clear. I don't think it needs too much discussion. I think we all know where the winner's going to go and to complete that tripod. But I think that the focus is just on Leigh becoming a two-time world champion, and that is it. No future. There's nothing that we're looking at past that. We're just focused on May 27th.
I can't wait to see that fight again, and fingers crossed everything goes well, because obviously we would love to see Leigh get his hands on that belt again. This weekend, Devin and Vasily in Las Vegas. How do you see that fight, Ben?
Yeah, look, Lomachenko at one point was considered pound for pound #1. Devin is undisputed lightweight champion in one of the best divisions in world boxing. So it's an amazing matchup, one that most people could only dream of. I know that we had the massive fight with Tank and Ryan not long ago, but I think in terms of skill set, yeah, you know, so I'm looking forward to it. And it's an intriguing matchup, but confident that Devin can get it done.
How different is this fight to, or how different would it have been to the 2019 fight? Obviously, that was kind of when, I think Devin, off the back of the Abdullayev knockout, it might have been when he called for Vasily. Obviously, that was when kind of the mythological Vasily Lomachenko was like, yeah, do you know what I mean? That was kind of at the height of all that for Vasily. How different is the fight, or would it have been then, to what we're going to get on Saturday, do you think?
Yeah, Devin's always fancied the fight, but I think that the fight is different, of course. I think Lomachenko's made some adjustments, taking into consideration where he's at, his age, etc., etc. I think that Devin is obviously growing as a fighter, physically, mentally, emotionally, and I think that Devin's got a few more layers to his game than he did have at that time. But he's always fancied this fight, so I think there's a chance for him to show why on Saturday.
Just moving on to Joe Joyce's defeat, I don't think the guys just spoke to you to that. Obviously, we know now that Joe's going to have the rematch with Zhilei Zhang. Before we talk about the potential rematch and whatnot, what did you make of Joe's defeat to Zhilei?
Not being like biased, but obviously I wanted Joe to win, so I was disappointed. I think that it was a strange fight to take in the first place. In terms of, you know, we always say styles make fights. I think that stylistically it was a bit of a funny fight to take, in my opinion. But everyone can be clever after. So rematch, I still think it's a difficult fight. I think that it's a bad style matchup for Joe. But of course, you know, I'd love to see Joe come through, because there's, you know, the British heavyweights are on fire, and I'd love to see him remain in the mix.
Obviously, kind of the manner of the defeat is what makes it obviously that bit more shocking. The eye was, well, the eye was a mess. Do you think it's kind of view devastating as well, in the sense that when you sell yourself on something, the fact that no one's going to move you, and then that's kind of the case with a fight, and the thing you sell yourself on is the manner you lose? Do you think that's why people are perhaps looking at it and going,
I don't know if that was the manner that he lost. He lost on a technically he lost on an eye injury. He didn't. I know he got rocked at one point, but he didn't get dropped and stopped in that manner. So I don't think it's damaged him in that sense. But I think there's signs of, you know, he got hurt with a body shot against Brian Jennings. So anybody can get hurt, especially in the heavyweight division. So, you know, my opinion on Joyce hasn't changed from that. I look at that as it being a bad style matchup, and I think it's a tough rematch as well. But I'd love to see Joe come through it.
Yeah, as would we all. Like you said, the heavyweight scene in the UK needs and obviously wants Joe Joyce for that. We're not going to go too much into depth about this, but how much of your hopes have you got up for this Saudi Arabian heavyweight bonanza?
I wouldn't really even look at it until it gets announced. You know, I know I fully understand it's some people's job to want to have the information first, but I haven't paid any attention to it because I think it's unlikely. But of course, I'd absolutely love for that to come off. Yeah, that's pulling.
Just one more thing about a couple of the rest of the boys that I've seen in the gym today. Just kind of,
Sorry, I've been away with.
I was wondering who needed pulling off in the gym. I was hoping it weren't me. Just one more thing about kind of an overview of the rest of the boys in the gym. Obviously, I see them working hard and having fun, of course, today. And I know there'll be some big fights out there for a few of them.
Yeah, Pat McCormack on July the 1st against Tony Dixon, WBA Continental or one of those titles. Luke McCormack, God willing, some news soon on Luke. Going to be an extremely exciting professional. Chris Congo's awaiting a date. Shabazz Massoud should have some information on Shabazz real soon as well, which is going to be exciting. Royston Barney Smith, June the 9th. Will Cooley, June 16th. Anybody I'm missing out there?
Is that you lot?
Gregor, got some news coming soon there. But not for me to announce. But yeah, some interesting things in the pipeline for some of the boys that we're not able to announce now. But we'll have some information on that shortly.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 17, 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,